Squeeze me.
Alright,
We just saw Rogue One.
Yeah, so, welcome back to another Tuesday night Cheap Night with Rob and Daniel. We just saw Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Mm-hmm.
And?
This is the second time I've seen it. First time I saw it was in IMAX, and
You cheated.
I cheated. It being Star Wars, I'm gonna like it as a huge Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I really liked it. I enjoyed it. The one thing that I've been thinking though is, I mean, I just saw for the first time on the Sunday, so the Saturday, so I haven't had a lot of time to think about it, but as much as I did like it, it didn't give me that feeling. Like, when I walked out of Force Awakens, I was just like, yes, Star Wars, this one. And I know because it is different, and it does have that different feel, which is cool. I don't have that feeling that I got with Force Awakens.
Yeah.
So, but I did like it, and there are some amazingly epic parts to it. And I like the uniqueness of how it's not just like the saga films. It is different in its own unique way.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it didn't feel like as big of a... Well, no, I guess it was still pretty big scale, but it didn't feel like the average Star Wars movie. It felt a little bit more gritty, a little bit more realistic. It wasn't all like as...
It felt like a war film, which was cool. There's not much in...
It wasn't as much of his fantasy. There's
no like big lightsaber duels or force using or Jedis or anything. But I mean, there's some things that... There's a lot that I like, and then there's some things, and I think it comes down to... I don't know who it was, but the movie, I think, is different from what it was supposed to be initially. Like, before, I think it was a bit darker and a bit more realistic and grittier, but the producers, I guess, and Disney kind of came in and said, like, no, we want this a bit,
Sorry.
More...
I just drove right into the snowbank.
So yeah, they're saying like we wanted a bit more like family friendly, I guess. So they changed it, and yeah, I mean, I guess we could get into like some things we didn't like as much in a bit, but
yeah,
there's a few things. But
so
what are the things that you really liked?
I thought
about the movie?
Most of the special effects were really good. The space battles.
The space battle was like that was
awesome.
So cool.
The characters were pretty wicked, and spoilers, everyone dies.
Yeah.
And, like,
which I like how they did that though.
Yeah, because you never see them in any of the other movies, so
yeah,
it kind of makes sense.
And they get their mission done, but they like have to sacrifice a lot and themselves pretty much to
get
the Death Star plans to the rebels.
Yeah, I really liked how perfectly it fit in.
It's like, I read that it's 10 minutes before the first scene in A New Hope.
Yeah.
And the way it's shot and the way it's done, you're like, wow, this is like, we're literally going right into A New Hope here. Yeah. It's so cool.
When it ended, I want to go home and watch A New Hope.
I
know. One thing I really liked was how they made it look like the 70s and 80s movies.
Yeah.
Like they made it, with the crappy computers and stuff that they had. Like, even when they're looking through like the binoculars, it's all fuzzy, just like it was in the originals.
It's not like prequel perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, it's got that real...
it's
feel
gritty, and I always felt like, because the rebels are using outdated technology and stuff, because that's what they can get, that it makes sense that they have all that crap.
And being like the underdogs, they don't have like the superior technology of the Empire and everything. So
although the Death Star still had like the big consoles with like a couple buttons on it,
that's
and
true.
a big lit lever,
But yeah, I mean, visually it was really cool.
Most of it.
Yeah. What did you think of Tarkin? CGI
Tarkin?
face Tarkin
and CGI Leia.
Yeah. She didn't look bad.
She wasn't nearly as bad as Tarkin. Tarkin, I felt like the person acting as him,
Mm.
his face didn't quite stay on his.
Well,
on his
what
head.
did you think of the voice, and what did you think of like?
I didn't mind the
How
voice
he looked.
as much. It wasn't quite right.
Yeah, but it's still when he started talking, you're like, that's Tarkin. Like if
Yeah.
you just heard it without seeing it,
Yeah,
you're like, Tarkin.
You knew it. It's someone's doing a really good impression of Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
But the CGI people, I think they wasted all their budget on everything else because
Yeah.
that was.
But at the same time,
Really
you got to
bad.
give him credit because it looks
I mean,
almost.
it looked like him, but
It
was,
looks photorealistic.
if you freeze
Almost. Yeah.
if
but-
you freeze frame it, I think it would look pretty okay. But
Yeah.
it's just slightly off, and it was really, really distracting.
I say it's like 95% perfect, but it's that 5% where you're like, what?
I disagree. I think it looked terrible.
Really?
When it was going, I think they should have hidden his face a lot more and not focused on it.
That's what I thought they were gonna do. When
Yeah.
There's that first shot of just his reflection.
Yeah,
I thought
and
he was just gonna say a few lines.
I think that's all they needed. But when they
Yeah.
like close up on him, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
What?
And
what
it's funny
is that?
too, in IMAX, it's a lot more noticeable.
Oh no.
So and in another review I read, they made a good point where if it was just him, like when it was just a shot with his face, it was like okay, but it's when you have a character with a CG face that almost looks real with real people, it stands out
Yeah.
a lot.
yeah.
So,
And I mean,
did he
well,
need to be in it? Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think he should have been in it. I
Yeah.
think they could have been creative with hiding the fact that he's not alive
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
And with Leia, it wasn't as bad, but it's still noticeable. And I think
Mhm.
they definitely could have gotten away with not showing her at all, just showing what she wore. From
Just even that shot of just like
yeah, that
the
should have
back,
been it.
where they
Instead
wouldn't
of-
like they could have been like Princess Leia, and then you could have heard her voice, and then cut to credits.
Yeah, that could
They
have
didn't have to actually show. I'm not sure why they wanted to go like do that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think they're feeling confident with her, but
yeah, I think part of it, in a way, and this is kind of one of my problems, is the fan service that Star Wars
there's
is doing.
a lot.
Like they just throw in stuff from the originals. It's like you like this stuff from the originals. Here it is in the new. And they did it in Force Awakens as well. But
Mhm.
at least in that one, it was kind of more visual stuff, and it wasn't like in this one. The one that there's like a tiny part of my brain is like, hey, cool. But then most of me is like, really? When it's those guys from the cantina,
Oh yeah,
like the one guy gets his arm chopped off
yeah,
by Obi-Wan, and that monster weird thing.
yeah,
Whatever it is. When I saw them on
Oh, I
Jeddah.
don't think that's that big of a deal.
it's just random though. It's like, why? Why are they
Well,
there?
I think throwing that in didn't really take away from anything.
Hmm.
Obviously, didn't really add much,
Yeah.
but
It didn't need to be there.
yeah, but yeah, like
But it's just to me. I think what they're doing is like they're just putting it in there, just to please fans.
yeah,
Which I mean, yeah, I guess it pleases some fans, but like I don't know. I just find it pointless to do that.
yeah,
Like certain parts, like other ones are cool, but like C-3PO and R2-D2, like I guess, yeah, they would have been there on Yavin 4,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know. Did they
that
need
one
to be?
that one felt a little shoehorned in. I think maybe
Yeah.
if they just like, oh, there they are, and
Maybe
not-
even more at the end, like when Leia shows up, because we know they're gonna be there when
Mhm.
she gives the plans to R2
yeah,
in A New Hope. So I don't know, but I love that one part at the end when they are on that ship,
mm-hmm.
and I'm pretty sure he says it's like the exact same shot, the exact same line the guy says,
Mhm.
but in A New Hope they follow the other guys,
Mm-hmm.
and in this one they follow the one guy who says the line and goes to talk to Leia,
yeah,
and I was like, that is so cool.
yeah, that was really neat.
How they did that.
Let's talk about characters real quick.
They're all I can't remember his name at all, but the blind guy was my favorite.
Star Wars and their weird names.
He was so funny
There were-
though.
There was no character I didn't really like. You felt like you actually cared for pretty
Mhm.
much everyone.
The only thing I felt is because there's so many different characters that we didn't have enough.
Yeah,
With Felicity Jones' character,
she was the main character.
Yeah, you
you got to focus on that, and I felt
Yeah.
like they did that.
but then you have the pilot,
hmm
and then you have the
Captain.
captain, and then you have the robot.
I'll put those names in as we go.
This guy and this guy.
Yeah.
And then you have the
blind guy.
the blind,
and then
kind of not Force user, but he believes in the Force, and his
big guy.
bodyguard, I guess.
The big guy with the big gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's your typical, like...
it's cool to have, like, a...
underdog.
Yeah, like a group like that. Like
Yeah, like, what do you call it?
rebel troops that are...
like
gang.
ragtag group.
Yeah.
Just random guys getting together.
Yeah. And they worked well together, not only just as a team, but, like, as the robot.
Yeah.
K2SO.
K2SO.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
He was,
Yeah.
He had the best lines. My favorite line, though, is when they put the hood over the blind guy. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Are you kidding me? I'm blind."
There's actually quite a bit more comedy than I thought there would be.
Yeah, which I think is part of, like, the reshoots that they did,
Yeah.
because
But-
they wanted more comedy.
I mean, it didn't really feel out of place. Like, it kind of softened some of the really tense moments.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the robot just hated Jin. It was really funny. And when you first see him, he grabs her and, like, just, like...
Throws her to the ground.
Slams her on the ground. And it shows you how powerful he is, too, which is pretty neat because
Yeah.
so far with droids in these movies, they've been, like... not very intimidating. Like the battle droids all were like,
I think the only really
like
intimidating
cardboard,
one,
pretty much.
Yeah, the ones that were intimidating, I felt, were just like the destroyers.
Yeah, but they just had a...
But everything else was just like...
And like the R2 droids and like C3PO and all that, they're like, they get bashed around and stuff. But this one actually, you felt like he was solid. He could actually hold his own, and he did.
He did, yeah.
In a really sweet scene where he's kind of they're looking for the plans, and he's kind of guarding them and helping them find it, and he's just blasting stormtroopers, which the stormtroopers actually had good aim, like they were supposed to.
Sometimes.
Well, I mean, everyone's gonna miss every once in a while, but when those, what are the black ones called?
The Death Troopers.
The Death.
Yeah, what'd you think of them?
They were like, you knew shit was going down when they showed up.
Yeah. The only thing I wish is they used them more. Like, they made them scarier.
They could have used more,
like,
but they're the best of the best, so they probably don't have that many of them.
And they'd be more of like the Director Krennic's like bodyguards and stuff like that. They wouldn't be like as much in battle, I guess.
Yeah.
But they did use them in the battle.
Mm-hmm.
But that
was when like stormtroopers and that weren't working, so they sent these guys out.
Yeah.
What was with their voice? Do you know? Like,
how was all like muffled and distorted?
Yeah, what was with that? Are they a different race, or?
I'm not sure. I think it's just like they can understand each other through the comms, but maybe it's just an intimidation factor.
It was kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
So the good guys were good.
Yeah, there was
the bad guy. What was his name?
Mendelsohn. Director Krennic.
Director Krennic.
Yeah.
I really liked him because he wasn't like, he was intimidating but he wasn't the big bad guy.
Yeah.
He was like a little bad guy. So he gets bossed around. He gets intimidated by Tarkin and Vader, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, he was an interesting villain. He wasn't like, all perfect. He made mistakes. He got in trouble and stuff like that.
And I like how in Star Wars, it's the only movie where I don't mind when the villain is just like all evil. Because you can't really... When you watch other movies, you're like, come on, like no one is 100% evil.
Well,
but then Sidious is like, he is
I think that's what
evil.
kind of made this movie a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because we still had those, perfectly evil guys, but we also had this different type of villain that they brought in for this different type of Star Wars movie. Let's talk about Vader. We've talked about Tarkin, we've talked about the other guy.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Vader.
Well, he has two main scenes. He's not in it that much.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping he'd be in it a little bit more.
I was hoping he'd be in it more, but I didn't want him to like just come out fighting away.
Yeah. I mean, not too much more, but just a little bit more.
Yeah.
First of all, I didn't realize he had a castle That's like
And do you know where that was? That's on Mustafar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lava planet.
Yeah, from Revenge.
Yeah. It's got like a castle that could have been like Bowser's castle.
It looks like Bowser's castle.
I was like, are you kidding me? On the inside it looked cool and intimidating, but the outside you're like, really?
I guess because no one's really gonna see it, he's like, it will be my Bowser's castle. It's so ridiculous.
But I did like, it shows what he does on his off time when he's not in his suit. He floats around
when he's in that
tube.
like tube thing. He's got like no arm. I guess makes sense.
Yeah, he's just in this tube of white liquid.
Yeah, that was cool to see though.
Yeah,
because you only see it for like
I said, like
seconds.
the inside of the castle's really cool looking.
Yeah,
and it shows that side of Vader,
but
then shows Vader a little bit like just playing with
Krennic.
With Krennic, just like he's nothing to him, which was really neat.
Kind of just like the puppet master that we know of.
Yeah, it
from
really
the
shows
originals.
why, people working under him are afraid of him. And then, we see him at the end of the movie.
And that
was cool. That
might be my favorite part of the movie.
That reminded me of like Akira or something like that, where they're going through the hallway just like killing everything like they're nothing, which was so cool.
The coolest part is how not only seeing Vader, just being Vader, but how like terrified, pissing their pants the rebels were, because they don't just go like, "Oh no, it's Vader, run!" They're like, they're so scared, like trembling,
like
trying
he's
to
a
get
monster.
sort of. They're trying to get the plans down the hall, and the one door jams, so he's trying to like hand it through the door. The other guy, runs.
I wonder if that was like a ship malfunction or Vader did that.
It'd be cool to think it was Vader.
Yeah. I think we didn't talk about Vader's suit.
Looked like shit.
Yeah. For some reason, Vader's suit looked terrible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're just trying to recreate the one from like A New Hope, so it kind of like matches up, but I haven't seen A New Hope in a while, so I don't remember it being that stupid looking. Like it looked like someone's crappy cosplay. Yeah, I'd have to say.
But no, like you said, it looked off.
Yeah,
it looked, there was something about it, some subtle difference.
Yeah.
So like thinking back to what I saw on the screen, maybe it's because it's like on the big screen, so you see these details.
I don't know,
more, but
like I remember Vader's helmet being like buffed and like super shiny.
Yeah.
And this one seemed a little bit more of a flat, matte helmet.
I don't know. Yeah, it's just one of those things where I couldn't pick out what was off about it, but I mean that now that you mentioned that seems like, but there was something else that seemed, I don't know if it was the shape of it or the way he was wearing it or something.
I don't know.
It was just weird. But like, I was just saying that, these companies that put so much effort into making these movies so perfect, that when, details like that get so kind of off the mark in a way, or seem to, because if, we notice something like that, then I'm sure a lot of people have. And the other thing was with the way Tarkin looked, that's a little more obvious, but and it is obvious thinking like, okay, like the actor who played him obviously isn't around anymore. He hasn't been since whenever, many years. So he isn't around to play him. So it had to be CG or really, really, really good makeup. But it obviously was CG. But I've been on the internet, that seems to be the biggest thing, the biggest kind of what the fuck of the movie is.
That was definitely mine.
The way Tarkin looked.
Yeah.
So,
favorite scenes for you?
Probably Vader.
Yeah.
When he comes marching down that hallway.
Yeah.
He's kind of just terrifying those rebels and just, slicing them up with his lightsaber and using the Force.
The space battles were just ridiculous.
The space battles looked amazing.
Looked so good.
The ground, like the beach battle was cool. The way the AT-AT kind of just like came out of the fog.
Yeah, this movie was so really good at showing you the scale of these machines. I guess Force Awakens was too, when you fly through the Star Destroyer, but This shows off the
But this is from like the
AT-ATs
perspective of the soldiers.
Yeah, you're on the ground.
Yeah.
AT. Well, weren't they the cargo?
Yeah, it's like the AT-ACT, I think.
Something like that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, you see how big they are, and the humans are just dwarfed.
Yeah, there's just like these mechanical monsters.
Yeah.
And which are awesome. Like they're so cool.
They've always been one of my favorite parts of Star Wars.
Yeah. From the Hoth battle on Empire is one of my favorite parts of all of Star Wars.
But when the rebel squadron comes in and just starts blowing them up.
Oh, what did you think about that hammerhead thing?
Oh,
that was so cool.
That was such a cool way to bring down 2 Star Destroyers.
Yeah, because they already disabled it with the Y-Wings.
Yeah.
And then the thing's kind of drifting towards the other Star Destroyer and the gates below them. And then this hammerhead thing comes in, rams the one, which like sandwiches into the other one, splits it in half. And they both go into the gate and blow it up.
The Empire has to stop relying on force fields.
Yeah. It's not working.
They don't work. Do something else. Hide your shit better.
Yeah.
I don't know. Figure your shit out with those stupid force fields. It's not working.
Their ships look wicked, and they look intimidating, but they have a lot of weaknesses, it seems.
Well, I did like how this explains why the Death Star.
Oh,
that's stupid.
That's another thing.
Way to kill it. So that's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, because now you realize it wasn't just really, really stupid, idiotic engineering.
Yeah.
There was actually a reason for why, the
that's probably the most.
No, the exhaust port is the weakness.
That's probably the most important part of this movie.
Yeah.
That's why this whole movie was made, just to explain that stupid thing that fans have been making fun of Star Wars for years.
If it's not that, it's Stormtrooper aiming. Or the prequels.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was definitely awesome, because now you can see that whole.
Yeah, I'm sure that was explained in some book or something. And
yeah, but who reads except me and you? And
I don't read Star Wars.
Yeah. But yeah,
I thought the movie was beautiful. Like, it had really, really good like landscapes and stuff like that. Runs into the same problem as every planet just being one sort of thing, which is one of my biggest complaints about the Star Wars universe.
Like, this planet is the tropical planet, and this planet's the lava planet, and this planet's the forest planet or whatever.
This one's the beach planet.
The beach planet. Where the big battle happens.
Yeah.
On a nice beach.
I can remember.
Some of the best, like, cinematography-wise and directing-wise and visually, it just...
Yeah,
it was so cool.
Stunning. It looked pretty realistic.
It was Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you came to see, was this...
Yeah.
This big battle. Awesome this was the centerpiece of the whole movie.
Even the ground battle.
The ground battle was amazing.
Yeah.
You get to see the scale of these machines.
Yeah.
It's shot from the perspective of the people on the ground, and they're looking up and seeing these huge...
Just like mechanical monsters.
Yeah, the AT-ATs coming out of the jungle and the fog and stuff. Yeah, but just wicked looking, for sure. You get to see so much destruction in this movie. You get to see one Star Destroyer crash into another one because rebels sort of pushed it with like a little tugboat.
Yeah, this hammerhead
the hammerhead ship, which is a little tugboat.
Yeah,
and then that so falls into the
gate that they're trying to destroy.
Yeah, which was just great. You get to see AT-ATs blow up, and one gets
the one that like
shot in half.
Yeah, blew up in half. Was really cool.
It's so awesome.
And it's just, I loved a lot of the shots on the ground battle where it's just you're following one ship, but it's kind of watching a lot of a big part of like the battle. So you get to see a lot of what's going on through like just this one ship kind of flying through.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just the way it was shot and just the way the action was and everything. It didn't feel like a Transformers where everything's kind of just random.
Yeah.
Like, this is happening, blah, 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 blah. Where it's just like, you kind of have an idea of like where everything is, what's going on. But it's still chaotic in a way. It still feels like war, so it's...
better edited than a Transformers movie.
Yeah, it was intense.
You know, I just realized that this movie was just made So Star Wars could explain why there's that stupid
design
flaw in the Death Star. They've been made fun of for 30 years.
So long, 40 years.
40 years. And this was just to be like, no, it was put there on purpose by this guy.
Yeah.
That's the whole movie.
This Imperial scientist.
Who's really a good guy.
Yeah.
But overall, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd see it again?
Yep.
In theaters?
Definitely.
Yeah, I probably won't, but I'll definitely add it to my Star Wars video collection.
Yep.
For sure. Yeah, definitely go see this movie. Go see it in theaters.
Yeah, get that theater experience.
You know, you have to see Star Wars in theaters.
Yeah.
It's just one of those movies, like, you just have to see big screen, you gotta see big speakers, like, it's made for that.
Yeah.
So do that, if you haven't seen it, which you probably have seen it if you're watching this video, because there's been spoilers throughout. But if you downloaded it, which we don't condone, delete that file and get out to the theater.
Spend your good money on supporting good movies.
Yeah, for sure. Not sure what we'll be watching next.
No clue. Whatever.
Probably next year we'll be back out.
Yep.
See whatever good movie's coming out then.
Yep.
If you've seen Rogue One, let us know what you think in the comments below. Hit that like button, so if you liked it, this video for sure. Click the subscribe button to see our next video whenever that comes out, if it ever comes out. Which it will eventually.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.